Testing, testing. All right. Here we go. The levels are good. The levels are good. All right. Back on here live. What's going on, people? Let me make sure I got everything right because it's looking funky. All right. All right. Everything should be going good. All right. What's up, chat? All right. So we live. We're going good. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna give a few minutes. This is your boy Puertorock77, your only friend in these YouTube streets, doing a live stream, and we're about to kick it off with quick topics. We're gonna kick off, talk about Microsoft not supporting VR with the Xbox Scarlet, and we're gonna talk about a little bit of how this plays into Sony's hands for the future VR gaming for next generation. And then we'll do a live Q&A. We'll spend about 15 minutes on that, and then we'll wrap it up. Put on that VR while streaming. You saw the image or whatever. I should do that, right? Got that. For those in question, hold on. Here's my VR headset. I have it right here. It's pretty fun. It's really good. It turned out a lot better than I anticipated. I know I owe you a review. There's still a couple of games that I want to play. I need to play Blood and Truth and Astrobot. I'm hearing a lot of great things about that. So I need to really rock out with that and stuff like that. But if you don't mind, if would appreciate it if you guys will hit the like button and retweet. Tweet this out or spread it out through your favorite social media platform, and we'll get the chat going. I'll truly appreciate it. But everybody rocking out with me. I hope you enjoyed this segment. But most importantly, just like anything else, it's about education. It's about knowledge, right? The things I do on YouTube, it's like 70% trolling, talking shit, 30% knowledge. And the reason why is because Twitter is just an environment where you'd be surprised how there's a lot of people that don't know how to read. And after a while, I just gave up. I'm like, you know what? It's not worth just constant, it's just not fun. You'll be stressed out at how many people simply cannot read or have bad reading comprehension, So my YouTube channel is where we do the serious talk, straight up gaming knowledge, as your only friend these YouTube streets can provide. On the rest, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? For everybody else, I appreciate it. Thanks for rocking out with me. I appreciate you guys showing up. But again, hit that like button, truly support the channel, show the people that you enjoy the content, and then of course spread that out to social media. But we're gonna get right to it. All right, we're gonna get right into the topic and not hold back. We're already in 3 minutes into the live stream. All right, so recently Phil Spencer, I guess in an interview, pretty much paraphrasing, said that Xbox Scarlet will not be Xbox Scarlet will not have VR support. Xbox has no plans to get into VR gaming or creating VR content or VR equipment to be utilized with that Xbox Scarlet. Plain and simple, no reason to go into more detail, except for one more statement, which I'll bring up, all right? So from that point, of course, community, just like with anything else, the gaming community will give their opinions. Some are supportive with the decision, some are against the decision. Regardless of what side of the coin you're on, whether you're a fanboy or you're being real, whatever, if you're here to destroy and bash a company or you're there to corporate slave and defend a company, it doesn't really matter what side of the coin you're on, because here we're just going to talk about the logical and truthful reasoning behind all this, all right? So, no VR for Xbox Scarlet. Pretty much, done deal. Phil Spencer doesn't see that as part of Xbox vision, okay? So let's knock out the misinformation on the reasoning or logical things behind it. Misinformation number one, that it's a smart idea because of the low attachment rate of VR. For example, as of April of 2019, PlayStation VR sold 4.7 million units amongst a population of over 100 million console sales. So it's a low attachment rate. That's misinformation number one, in the sense that it doesn't matter what the attachment rate is or if it's niche or not. The fact is, with that 4.7 million that Sony generated, PlayStation VR has now become a multi-billion-dollar revenue streaming industry for Sony. Forbes released an article a couple of months ago saying that now that VR is a multi-billion-dollar industry, that this puts some level of weight on Microsoft, to paraphrase Forbes. You know, VR now has entered the multi-billion-dollar industry. So it doesn't really matter if it's niche, attach ratio. That's not how you gauge, the future potential and success of something that can be provided on your gaming platform. It's already a multi-billion industry. There is a reason why Valve, right, after so many years and years and years of hardcore Half-Life fans begging for Valve to create Half-Life 3, they come out and create a new Half-Life, but it is a VR game. There is a reason for that. VR is growing. It's a growing movement. Okay. So the attach rate of saying, oh, only 4.7 million people bought it. Well, number one, what does that have to do with anything? Right? Don't we preach? Don't listen to your opinions of other people. Try it out and make a choice for yourself. So why is everybody concerned if VR sold 4.7 million? Have you tried it? Have you played it? Have you tried the games? Because there is a ton of content that's come out on VR. If you're not interested, cool. But don't say you're not interested because of sales. Because I guarantee Xbox One X ain't sold 10 million units. But guess what? A lot of gamers are interested in the One X because of the powerful hardware and powerful graphics. So the attach ratio isn't a good argument. PlayStation VR, VR in general, between PC and PlayStation is a multi-billion-dollar industry. All right. So there is money to be made within the realm. And the thing about VR, it doesn't take away from anything else. Sony has been providing both PlayStation VR experiences and still the standard AAA gaming experiences, and nothing's changed, right? So that's fallacy number one. Fallacy number two, the tech isn't ready. No, actually, the tech is ready. And there's great experiences already available. There's some great games I already played. Hell, even I was surprised at a game as Rush of Blood. I was pretty surprised how good that game was. Beat Saber is pretty fun, intuitive, and reactive. The controls are very reactive. There's no latency. It's a pretty smooth experience right there. I played Ghostbusters, which is pretty amazing. I even played the Batman VR game. Pretty amazing how well the game controls, right? So the technology is there. It works, right? And experience is there. The problem most people are having is the graphics fidelity. Now, if you play on the standard PlayStation 4 Slims, the graphics are a little blurry. A lot of people saying that if you play on the Pro, the graphics are a lot better. Do not confuse the graphics with this technology not being there. The technology is there. The technology works. The technology is pretty precise. Because like I said, Rush of Blood is a shooting game. It's pretty accurate because I even tried to see how off, I was the target. It's pretty accurate, right? But now here's the thing. How do you improve graphics? How do you improve fidelities and textures, right? The answer, more powerful hardware. Guess what we're getting next year? PlayStation 5, Navi GPUs. That's the hardware that's going to improve the graphics of these VR games. So yes, as we get better hardware, as PC gets better GPUs and CPUs, the games will get better. But I'm going to talk more about that as far as the potential for PlayStation 5. So there's a fallacy about the technology doesn't work. It does work, right? Number three, well, I don't want to do it because I want a wireless headset. All right, see you wanting a wireless headset, but I have, the headset is wired. I have it. Yes, it's a little cumbersome. Would it be better, cleaner to have a room with no cables? Of course, it would be cleaner and stuff like that. That's obvious, But the reality is, it still works, and the cable doesn't get in the way. It's positioned and designed to where the cable's not interfering with your gameplay experience. All right. Yes, it is a little bit of clutter with the breakout box. There is a little clutter and stuff like that, right? It does get annoying, but it doesn't take away from the gaming experience. All right. So to simply say, well, I'm not doing it because the headless is not wireless. Are you more concerned about the headless being wireless or wired, or interested in the gaming experience? And that's the thing with the VR. It's the gaming experience behind it. It actually takes games and give you a different perspective that normal gaming doesn't do. The average controller game is pretty unique and it's pretty awesome, right? So those little things aren't a detriment, right? The reality is VR for PC and PlayStation works like it has never worked before. It is an amazing experience. And with new hardware coming out next generation, the experience is going to look better. The frame rates is going to look amazing. It's going to be an amazing experience, right? Now, if you're nauseous, things, because I gotta admit, like for example, Spider-Man, no, even Rush of Blood with the roller coaster. There was little parts where after a while you get so immersed in the world, you kind of like feel like, you start getting a little woozy because of the heights and stuff like that. It's pretty. I can't even think of a word, but it's pretty incredible how engaging the game is. I guess is the best way I could put it. I was playing the Spider-Man free game. You fly around the city, but it's pretty cool how you're looking around and like you're inside this world. And the headset's designed to where it prevents light because that's why it has these little flaps around it. And I'll do more in the detailed review. So you're really immersed in this world. You start looking around, even something as simple as Beat Saber. When you play Beat Saber, you're like in this digital space and you look around, you look behind you, and you're like, after a while, when you stay in there, like the first 2 minutes, you realize it's fake. But once you stay in there for a few minutes, your mind starts absorbing and it just feels like you're in this world now. Like your mind gets used to it, like, you're in your regular room like this, right? This is my room, right? I put on my headset. My mind is still thinking. I just change it. But after a few minutes, you start looking around. You're like, holy shit, am I in this room? Like this really looks like I'm in this goddamn room. It's pretty amazing what it does, right? And again, with PlayStation 5 and better hardware for PC, the graphical experience, the graphical fidelity is going to be amazing. Another thing I like about the VR, it's kind of like a TV in front of your face because within the screen settings, you see like the front home, station of your PlayStation, right? The home screen, right? And you could adjust how big you want the screen. Technically speaking, and this is the truth, you can play regular games, you can play regular non-VR games and just treat your VR headset as a TV screen, right? You can make your TV look like a fucking 80-inch screen, excuse my language, an 80-inch TV, and you're like, holy cow. The only difference is, again, the graphical fidelity is not there as compared to a regular TV, a 4K TV, or even a 1080p TV, But with the PlayStation 5, I can only imagine how the graphics is going to look to where like your VR is your TV and you're not even using your regular TV because it looks so good just seeing this huge TV. And what I like about it is the outside of the TV, you don't see your room. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you play your video games, right? Your peripherals, you still see your room, You still see the wall, the couch, the window. You're playing a game, but you're in your room. When you put on your headset, it takes you out of your room. The only thing there is your screen, and all around it is black space. Truly immersive experience. So I'm really looking forward to how the PlayStation 5 enhances the graphics. It's pretty cool, right? But I'm going to talk more about that with the PlayStation 5. Let's talk about Microsoft's decision specifically for not supporting VR. So we dismissed some of the fallacies, all right? Some of these points are just mostly fanboy points to protect the product, stuff like that or whatever. In reality, the reason why Microsoft chose not to support VR has nothing to do with niche because, again, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it doesn't matter if it's niche or for specific crowd. It makes money, all right? So why isn't Microsoft deciding to make more money with this feature? And the main reason is simply put, VR for Xbox Scarlett does not align with their ultimate end state on how they see Xbox gaming platform. And that's a platform where their games can be played on any device. And that's simply it. Phil Spencer said it in a nice way that VR just seems like the type of thing that's exclusive in the sense that it doesn't include everybody, that it's only limited to this specific audience, right? And the way he said it, you could think about it from a gamer's perspective. Phil's only thinking about the gamers and he doesn't want to create things that exclude other gamers. So from a gamer's perspective, it sounds like he's a nice guy. But in reality, he's talking business perspective, right? Because if he invests in VR for Xbox Scarlett, that means mobile gamers and phone gamers who play their game with xCloud, they will miss out on that experience because you won't be able to play Scarlett VR. We'll call it Scarlett VR for now, for lack of a better term. You cannot play Scarlett VR on a phone or tablet. It's an experience that's exclusive to Xbox Scarlet. But yet Phil consistently told us you don't need to buy an Xbox Scarlet. They're going to fully support the Xbox One X, the Xbox One S, PC, phones, tablets, and mobile devices via xCloud. All these devices will have all the gaming experiences. Granted, the level of fidelity or the experience within the game will vary. For example, Scarlet will have a superior experience over Xbox One X, Xbox One S, or even xCloud on phones. PC, if you are a high-end PC gamer, you're going to have the ultimate experience on PC. Every device is, to a various degree, will usher a different level of experience, but you all going to play the game though. So you played the game Halo Infinite on a high-end PC, you know, all the bells and whistles, you're going to have the very best Halo Infinite experience. On Scarlet, you'll have the best Halo Infinite experience on a console device. Xbox One X, you're going to have a great experience. Xbox One S, you're going to have a good experience. Tablets and phones via xCloud, you're going to have a mobile experience, but they're all still going to be Halo Infinite across all devices. Play how you want, you're all enjoying Halo Infinite. Scarlet VR, though, that's not possible, right? If Microsoft invests Scarlet VR, Scarlet is going to be the only platform, and maybe at best PC, if they decide to allow PC to have that capability. You're talking about only two devices, gaming PCs and Scarlet. Xbox One X won't have that capability. Xbox One S won't have that VR capability. Phones and tablets via xCloud will not have that capability. Okay? Just can't. So all those devices will not have that experience. That is not the vision Microsoft wants. Microsoft wants to be able to provide services such as Game Pass, to provide games on all devices across all different spectrums of hardware to allow the user to choose how you want to play, take your games where you want to go. You can't do that with VR. VR is technically a very exclusive experience for a specific consumer who is willing to invest in the technology to get that VR experience. So it's a very specific customer, right? It's not just look at this dude. Hey, chat, can you somebody ban Henry Gordon? Just straight out ban him. Don't put him on timeout. Let me see if I could ban this bum. Yeah, just watch it with that dude. What the hell's wrong with these dudes? You got issues. You know what I'm saying? Unbelievable. So back on that, right? And that's really the truth. Microsoft wants to provide gaming across various devices, and it's going to be the same game. Now, the game experience itself is going to be better depending on the platform. Again, on console, it's going to be best on Scarlet. No other console is going to have a better Halo Infinite experience. On PC, the overall best experience, maybe mods, who knows, right? But VR, Microsoft's not going to do that. It just doesn't fit their vision, right? And to me, that is just a small sign on the drawback of Microsoft's vision, right? During my time, let's say on Twitter, there's a specific term that everybody keeps using. Xbox console only gamers, right? I talk about, people talk about why buy an Xbox when you get a PC, whatever. And the answer always console only gamers that prefer Xbox. It doesn't matter that PC has Halo. It doesn't matter if PC have Game Pass. It doesn't matter any about that. They want a console. They love playing on consoles. They will only play on consoles, and they love Xbox. Therefore, they're only going to play on Xbox. All right. So let's say you got this gamer that's a console only gamer and loves Xbox. Well, now that console only gamer that games on Xbox will not have or ever experience VR. And the reason why that gamer won't experience VR is simply because the mobile gamer can't experience VR. So because of a phone gamer who's going to play Xbox games on using xCloud, play on the tablet using xCloud, right? Because their experience on what games they get to play has to match what a Scarlet or Xbox console only gamer has experienced. The console only gamer can't get this VR experience because you have to consider the mobile gamer who chooses to play Xbox on a tablet via xCloud. That might be the way they want to play Xbox. So because of that user, the Scarlet gamer doesn't have this opportunity. So you're held back, and it may not be a lot of people. It could be a small population. It could be a very small population. But like it or not, that small population is impacted based on the experience or based on the experience that another user is not able to get because of the way they decide to play Xbox games, right? Now you could look at it from the perspective of a PC gamer. Well, they could play Xbox VR, so just focus on PC. The problem is VC already has two VR platforms, Vive and Oculus. And Xbox, especially with the CEO, Satya, they probably don't want to get into another hardware war with a competing manufacturer. So they probably don't want to make a gaming VR that now they have to compete with HTC Vive and Oculus. So they probably want to stay away from that. So in reality, if they were to get in VR, it will only be on the Xbox Scarlet, and that is the only platform that would be able to use it. That is not the ideal scenario Microsoft wants to do. Whatever games they make, whatever services they provide, it has to be equal among all platforms. Phones, tablets, consoles, PC. That's it. And that's the logical reasoning why Microsoft won't invest in VR. It just simply doesn't fit their overall strategy of providing content across multiple devices and services. That's it. Nothing else. Attach rates, niche, technology is not ready. Microsoft wants to do it right. No, it's none of that. It has nothing to do with any of that. It just simply doesn't fit their model of how they want to provide gaming next generation. It just doesn't fit, right? So how does this play into PlayStation's hands, right? As I already covered before, some of the logical reasoning is not that serious. The whole wired, wireless, not that big of a deal. The conversation piece of the technology doesn't work, false. I played it, I own it. There are people who get bored of it. Okay, that's, if you don't find it fun or you don't find a lot of games fun, that's reasonable because that's all opinionated. Fun is subjective, right? But to say it doesn't work is totally wrong. The technology works, right? Now, if you're talking graphics fidelity, as I mentioned before, that's what the PlayStation 5 is for. You're talking a lot of hardware, right? Beefed up hardware. These are going to be powerful consoles powered by Ryzen and Navi. They're going to make VR games look amazing, right? And with the processing power, you're gonna have improvements on the technology itself. VR will be amazing next gen on the next generation PlayStation 5, and with the updated hardware PCs getting with Navi architecture, better Intel processors, better Ryzen AMD processors. It's just gonna be better across the board. The thing is, you're only talking about two platforms that will provide this improvement in VR: PlayStation 5 and PC. No other gaming platform is going to give you the VR experience. And as VR grows, sure, a lot of people could try to say it's niche now, but it is growing. It's going to get better. When the graphics get better, more people will be interested. Half-Life is a huge deal. Half-Life being a VR game, that's a pretty huge deal and a huge announcement, right? And that's one of the games that will give more developers confidence to make more big budget AAA titles, right? And as these AAA titles are being created, there's only two platforms that get to have the conversation: PC and PS5, okay? When Sony comes out and talks about the power of the PlayStation 5, right, and what it's going to do for gaming, part of that advertisement, part of the hype will be VR. They're going to show how amazing VR games look. It's going to look much better. The graphical fidelities will be insanely better than what we have now, right? So when people see a PlayStation 5 and what it's offering for $500, there's going to be a lot more to talk about in terms of what this console will do and provide for next generation gaming, simply because it has VR associated with it, right? That is what's going to help propel PlayStation 5. A lot of people may not be interested in VR, right? Graphics has a lot to do with it. Let's be honest. Graphics, shiny graphics sells games, right? All right. May not be the best game, but people like shiny graphics. It's a pretty easy sell. You see a nice looking game. I mean, remember Anthem when it first was shown on the Microsoft stage? The game was gorgeous. Nobody knew about the gameplay, but the game was gorgeous, and people were already hyping it as the Destiny killer. People love graphics, right? Of course, the hardcore gamers could see past that, but a nice looking piece of eye candy doesn't hurt, right? Once you see VR looks like nice eye candy, it's a selling point. More and more people will be like, man, that's a really nice looking game. Some people will be interested in that, right? And as the price goes down for PlayStation VR, it's going to get into more consumers' hands. Then finally, when the headsets become wireless, right? Now people will jump on board, right? But when those people jump on board, they will have a huge library of games already built up. Again, this is going to be a PlayStation PC conversation. It will not be an Xbox conversation. And I don't think Nintendo's going to do it because I think they're going to stick with their hybrid mobile games. So I think Switch 2 is the most likely next generation platform. And I think they're just going to stick with that niche of what they like to do. Right? It only makes sense. And that's pretty much it for my VR, conversation between PlayStation and Microsoft. To recap, it's not part of Microsoft's strategy. They're going to get into things that can cater to all devices. And for next generation, it's going to improve PlayStation. It's going to improve VR gaming across the board for PC and PlayStation. That's what next generation hardware do. That's what it does. It improves things that we have in the previous generation, right? So now with that, we're going to get right into the Q&A real quick, all right? It's about 26 minutes into the live stream. So, while you're here, 139 people watching. If you don't mind, I would truly appreciate it if you hit the like button and hit me up with your questions right now. What is it you have? If it pertains to VR, hopefully. If not, here we go. Scarlett going to support third-party VR. I don't think it will. Unless it gets that bad, I don't think Scarlett's going to support third-party VR because, again, it doesn't fall in line with everything they do in terms of what Microsoft wants to support across all devices. If you can't support mobile tablets and phones with VR, they don't want to provide something that those users can't have. Xbox gaming is about wherever and whenever and whatever device you can play on. PC, consoles, phones, and tablets. If you can't do it on equally along all these devices, now, again, the games themselves, they will run better and play better. So the games themselves will have a different experience. But there is a level of experience every device has to have. So I don't see Microsoft even supporting third-party VR. Puertorock, will you ever do a Spanish version of your channel? I don't know. Interesting. I think I thought about that. But to do that, I will have to build a more audience. I noticed the Spanish version of my channels, countries outside of America. I noticed Colombia, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Argentina, all the Spanish speaking countries. Those are the primary audience for the Spanish language. So I would have to cater to them. Probably a lot of work. At this time, I don't think I have the time to do both. It would be pretty difficult. Rule breaker. Are sales important and do they actually matter? Of course. Sales always matter, right? Regardless, and this is an agnostic question, or not an agnostic question. This is my agnostic answer. It has nothing to do with Sony, Nintendo, whatever. Sales matters in gaming. These gaming companies are businesses, first and foremost. They are not in gaming because of charity. This is not a charity. They're not doing it for free. They're not doing it because they like us and they're our friends. They see value in being in the gaming industry where they can make money. So every decision they make is a business decision. Now, are there risks where they're willing to lose a little bit of money now for bigger gains later? Of course. Again, everything is business 101. Sales matters, right? Now, you could say, well, I don't care about sales because, I like the game anyway. Take, for example, PlayStation game Order 1886. A lot of people love that game, but it didn't really sell. So are we going to get a sequel? Probably not. And that's it. If a game don't sell, the odds are you're probably not going to get a sequel, even though you like the game, and that's just the reality. Sales matters. Pretty simple. Each businesses, when they sell a product, they want to make money off it. It's business 101. Gaming industry is a business. My man said, Spanish speaker here. Well, yeah, but I, can't make a channel and go back to 10 viewers all over again. That's a lot of work. I barely have time for this channel. I'm trying to do the best I can with this one to do two. Woo! What else? Let's see. Today says, why every time Sony PS5 news release, so-called Microsoft insiders come out damage controlling? I'll be honest. I don't know why anybody waste their time trying to defend PlayStation, defend Microsoft when it comes to specs. There's nothing to defend. Nobody knows what these consoles are going to do and how they're going to perform. The specs of these consoles will be the specs of these consoles, and there is nothing, no conversation, no defense that anybody could do to change that. Constantly saying words, oh, no, but I heard this, but I heard that. That's not what's going to determine the hardware specs when these consoles come out. None of that is a determination. The rumors, the insider leaks, or that statement is bullshit. Nothing is true. Nothing's bullshit. Everything is pretty much irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. And I learned this firsthand from 2016 up until the release or until the official announcement of Project Scorpio, right? Pretty much for a whole year with Zaire and a lot of Xbox, D-Batch, almost a whole year. I promise you, it's almost a whole year. Every single week, they kept talking about how, Project Scorpio is going to have, Zen and Vega technology. Zen and Vega. Oh, look news. Oh, look, insider, Zen. Oh, look, in the background, there's a Zen box. Oh, in the background, Vega. Oh, I found a tweet from this developer talking about Vega. Oh, Vega Tech. Zen, Vega for a whole goddamn year. And then when Microsoft finally gave Digital Foundry, the first look of Project Scorpio, and Digital Foundry reported on it. They broke it down, 6 T-flops, hardware, whatever, all this bullshit. They said in the reveal that the CPU is Jaguar and the GPU is Polaris. And everybody's like, wait, what? I thought it was going to be Zen Vega. It's the same architecture as the old Xbox, just more powerful. Nothing changed. Everybody was completely wrong. So my advice to everybody, nobody knows a damn thing. And you can argue, until you lose your breath, until the cows come home. It's not going to change anything. Sony's going to do what they're going to do. Microsoft's do what they're going to do. Twitter wars, YouTube videos, they have no impact on what they're going to do. If Sony ends up releasing the most powerful console, there is nothing anybody could do. If Microsoft ends up releasing the most powerful console, there is nothing they're going to do. Nobody could do. It is what it is. It's in the hands of Microsoft and Sony. So don't worry about it. They're going to release a console and we're going to know. You got Cole Yogurt. Thank you for the super chat. Cole Yogurt says, VR is what true gamers want. They just don't know it yet. It's awesome to be in a video game world. You can see scale of places and enemies. Thank you. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a believer with VR. Again, I wasn't that much of a believer, but I wasn't against it when it first came out. But as more games came out, really, when I saw Blood and Truth, I'm like, all right. And then Batman, I'm thinking, I'm going to try it out. I finally got it. I'm a believer. Yes, it's graphically not there. I'm playing PlayStation VR on my vanilla. I heard Pro's a better experience, but I figure PlayStation 5 is coming out. I'll just play the VR on that, and I can only imagine what that console is going to do for the graphics fidelity and stuff like that. But thank you for the super chat. VR is amazing. It is pretty amazing technology. It's responsive. It's really a good thing. Now if some people have medical issues, throw up. I mean, it is what it is. But if you don't throw up, whatever, you don't get sick, whatever, when you play it, it's pretty immersive. What else we got here? A lot of the screen the chat just blanked through. Let me go up, see if I miss any questions. Let's see. Hold on. Do I think PlayStation 5 will be $400? I don't think so. I don't think any of these consoles are going to be $400. I mean, when you think about what these consoles are bringing, one, they're using desktop level CPU. I mean, let's look at it this way. When the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launched, right? Let's use the PlayStation 4. It launched at $400, right? In 2013. But look what it had when it launched. It had 8 gigs of RAM. It had a mobile tablet. It had an APU, which is a GPU and a CPU combined. But the CPU is based off mobile technology, Jaguar, and the GPU is based off an old AMD GPU that was released in 2012. So you're talking 2012 technology, launching in 2013 for $400. And at the time, it wasn't even a terabyte of hard drive space. It was 500 gigs. I want you to think about that. Old technology, right? And a lot of people complain from day one that these consoles are already outdated, especially the PC gamers, right? Now compare that to what PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet is going to bring. Desktop Zen 2 CPU and next generation Navi architecture, not even Vega. They've skipped Vega. I honestly thought a while back ago that it was going to be Vega because it's readily available, it's cheaper. No, they ain't going with Navi. Right? And now they want to go with SSD technology so they can make games load faster, better controller, 3D audio. It's going to be $500, whether we like it or not. It's just too much great technology in there for me to see that it's a $400 price point. All right. So I think at a minimum, these consoles are going to be $500. Let's see what else. Okay, answer Umar's question about backwards compatibility. Let me see. Let me look for it. All right, here we go. Do you think Sony will drop a PS5 bombshell like full backwards compatibility with PS1, PS2, PS3? All right, so here's the challenge. All right, the challenge is this. Obviously, PlayStation 5 is going to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. I've been said this. The moment the consoles went x86, that's it. From here on out, x86 architecture will allow all these games to be backwards compatible. That's how PC's backwards compatible going back to like 20 years, 30 years, whatever, right? I can see PlayStation 5 being backwards compatible, not in a traditional sense where you can take a PlayStation 1 disc and PlayStation 2 disc and insert it and play the game. Maybe if you insert the disc, the game will recognize, the system will recognize what game it is, but you still have to digitally download it. It's not going to pull it off the disk and install it. You have to download it off the store, install it on a hard drive, and then anytime you want to play the game, you have to have the disc inserted, or you could just buy the game digitally and not worry about the disc. The dark horse in this equation is the PlayStation 3. Sony really screwed themselves with the cell processor. There's powerful PCs. There are people right now with immensely powerful PCs trying to run PlayStation 3 games, and they're getting like 5 frames. It's like atrocious. And this is, because they're trying to emulate it. The cell architecture is a pain in the ass when it comes to emulation. And I think that's where Sony bit themselves in the butt. I honestly don't know if the PlayStation 5 is going to be that powerful to be able to play PlayStation 5 games through emulation. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, oh yeah. Because even the PlayStation 4 can play PlayStation 2 games through emulation. That's why you see a couple of PlayStation 2 games for sale in the PlayStation Store, and you just download it, digitally install it. Can't put the disc in, so it's not really true backwards compatibility, but it plays PlayStation 2 games, right? So PlayStation 5 is going to have no issues if Sony really wants it. If it doesn't play PlayStation 2 games or 1 games, it's because Sony chose not to do it. But there's no excuse for the PlayStation 5 not to be able to play PlayStation 2 and 1 games. I just don't see it coming from your disc. I see it, you most likely have to rebuy it. A lot of people are going to complain about that. Would it be nice to take the disc of a PlayStation 2 game, put it in, and at least have the console recognize it, and you digitally download it? Would be nice. PlayStation 3 is a dark horse. That cell processor really screwed Sony. Would be nice, though. It would be crazy announcement. It would be a crazy announcement to have the entire generation of PlayStation games backwards compatible, all right? Because really, a lot of these games aren't available no more. So it's like re-putting these games on a digital shelf and once again selling them. It's easy money. Let me scroll down. Let's see. My man says, if I can do two girls at the same time, you can do two channels at the same time. All right. So doing two girls at the same time, any man will have time for that. All right. Two channels at the same time ain't sexy, dog. It's not the same. Any man will make time for that menage a trois. Not so much for two YouTube channels. Puertorock, what is bigger, the movie industry or the gaming industry? Gaming industry is much bigger than the movie industry. It's the biggest entertainment industry um, in the world, right? Simply because, and that's to be fair to that question, that's including all forms of games, phone gaming, flash gamings, all forms of electronic type gamings, whether you're on a phone, on iOS, Android, consoles, handhelds, Switch, PC gaming, all of it, all forms of gaming, right, is bigger than the industry. Console gaming by itself is not bigger than the movie industry. PC gaming by itself is not bigger than the movie industry. Phone, tablet gaming by itself, you need all of it combined. So when you see these analysts talk about gaming being bigger than the movie industry, they're talking about everything. From our perspective, when we think of gaming, we normally just think of console and PC. Just the gaming that we consider, Nintendo, PlayStation, EA, or whatever, it has to include everything. Could you see Valve porting Half-Life VR to PS5 in the future? I have to look into that because I think Valve is creating their own headset. That they are. I think they have their own headset, or is it for Oculus Vive? I have to look into Half-Life and how it's going to be played. If it's just a game for Oculus Vive, or did Steam, Valve create their own device? If they create their own device, it's going to be a hard say because they probably want that device to sell. So let me look more into that and see. But if it's a game simply for any VR device on PC, I don't see why they wouldn't make it on PS5 since it's already a multi-plat. Let's see. My man, this chat. I know my man. Let's go down. This chat is very slow. Hold up. Okay, my man Lionel B with the super chat. Thank you so much. He says, what if the PS5 is more powerful because of it supporting its own VR? So VR might affect everyone in a good way, even if everyone isn't using it. That's a good point. Let's say in the pretend scenario, Sony says we have to make a very powerful console, right? Because it has another job to support VR and to bring out the best VR experience. Let's say Sony's motivated, right, to bring out a very powerful hardware because part of that idea and focus is to power VR. And in a nutshell, because of that focus, the thought behind VR, let's say PlayStation 5 ends up being the most powerful console. Let's just say that scenario. Well, guess what? The thought behind, just like Lionel B thought about, the thought behind in putting VR as part of the manufacturing process of this console benefited every gamer, even if those gamers don't want VR. So that is a good point. VR could be a motivating force behind how powerful PlayStation 5 needs to be. So even the non-VR gamers who buy PlayStation 5, they benefit from powerful hardware in part of the motivation behind VR. Great question, Lionel B. That is an excellent point. I never even thought about that. That is a great way to look at, what Sony might do with the PlayStation 5, in part to take care of VR. All right, let's see what else. 600, that might be pushing it. My man, the truth. As of Thanksgiving, I am a believer in VR. Black Friday has amazing deals. I'm telling you, I promise you, VR is dope. I even played some games I didn't even think. I'm out here playing Ghostbusters. Another game I downloaded. I bought a load tons of VR games. I'm gonna try. Also got a Exorcist, the game. I'm trying to get my wife to play it. She ain't even touching that. She's like, hell no, I'm not playing that game. You're gonna walk around, and she's like, I'm not doing that. It's crazy. The experience is crazy. Granted, if you're playing on the PlayStation Slim, the graphics is not there. I get it. The graphics is not there. You know, especially when you're playing the consoles now, or you're playing the Xbox One X or on PC. You play the VR, you're like, man, the game's not graphically. Some games are a little blurry. I get it. It's graphically not there. But if you play the game and just play it, you get past the graphics, you realize, man, while the graphics ain't the best, the experience is pretty amazing. Intuitive, it works, it controls well. VR works. All right. And with PlayStation 5, I think that's going to break the barrier of people not being interested simply because of how the game looks. I think PlayStation 5 will provide the look that people want, and then I think that's what entice people. You know what? That game does look good. Let me give it a shot. And once you play it in your hand, you're gonna be like, man, this is pretty great experience, especially for like horror. I'll say one game that could definitely benefit from VR is that Blair Witch game. I played on Xbox using Game Pass when I had the 2-month trial. The game ain't that great, right? It could be scary, playing with a headset, whatever. But the whole time I'm playing, because it's in first-person view mode, if this game was in VR, it would literally be a different game. If Blair Witch was a VR game, I don't think people will be able to finish that game, because there is scary moments, but again, the immersion is just not there. You put that same game, you don't even have to change much. You put that game in VR, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It will be a whole new game, whole new level experience. Blair Witch would just be a game that most people consider Blair Witch a shit game. Put that sucker in VR, most people won't even be able to finish it. They'll be like, oh, hell no, I'm not playing this. And then you put the headset on and you're totally immersed in the sound and you're just in that world in the woods. Nah, dog, you ain't finishing that game. A lot of people won't. They'll just stop playing. I think Blair Witch can definitely, whatchamacallit, would benefit from being a VR game. You know what? I'm gonna send a message to the people who made the game on their Twitter account. Be like, hey, you guys might want to consider making this game a VR experience. I will say this, because the game's coming to PlayStation 4, right? I'm not gonna play it because I already played on Xbox. But if they do a VR update on PlayStation 4 and they say, hey, this game is now fully PSVR compatible, wrap. I will buy the game. It'll be a wrap. So I'm gonna send a message on that. I'm gonna see what they do. Let's see. I think backwards compatibility is going to be through PS Now. I don't consider PS Now like a backwards compatible solution, for the fact is it's a separate service you have to pay for, and you're not really needing the console. The service is doing the work itself, so I don't really consider that backwards compatibility. I just consider that as a service that has PlayStation 3 games. Does that make sense? It's a service. It's a service that it's a streaming service that Sony has, and it has PlayStation 3 games. Will the Scarlet controller still use AA batteries? I have no idea. The Xbox Elite controllers don't use batteries anymore. I'll be honest, I really don't care. Like, I have my Xbox controller and I have rechargeable battery packs. It's not a big deal for me whether it has internal batteries or. I know some people, by having internal battery sealed and closed, it has like a premium look. People consider internal batteries like a premium type thing, and anything that uses batteries, AA's, AAA's, is like a cheap product. I personally don't really care either or and stuff like. It doesn't bother me. I mean, like I said, I have rechargeable battery packs on the Xbox controller. Hell, my biggest issue is the console has no games more than the console don't have batteries. Let's see what I got. PS5 is compatible with PS4 and current PSVR, as well as PSVR 2 going forward. Hopefully, PS5 also includes 1, 2, 3 games. Backwards compatibility with PSVR is hugely important to grow, just to grow the industry. You definitely want to carry forward all your content, especially if PlayStation 5 brings forth a lot more VR users. They're going to want all that content that's already available to be on the PlayStation 5 and possibly bring enhancements. So that way they could bring a better visual experience. Let's see, we got Lionel B. He got another super chat. Truly appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the support. He says they make the PS5 stronger by making it VR ready and take a bigger loss than MS, but make it back by selling the VR headset with high profit margin to offset the loss. All right, great points. Um, I don't think it's going to be a question of taking a biggest loss compared to MS. I don't think Sony's going to even care about MS. I think it's ultimately, let's say they create a powerful hardware and they realize we have to take a loss, you know, per console in order to push the vision they got. They're going to look at a couple of things to make money. Obviously, the sales of games, the sales of third-party games, the sales of controllers. If you know, the PlayStation 4 controller is the number one selling controller of all time. So they're going to look into that. You know, continued sales of PlayStation VR, VR games will be a big one. They're still going to grow their subscription, you know, their PSN Plus service. So I think all those things are going to be a factor into making up the loss. But again, overall, great points. I never, at no point did I even consider VR being a motivating factor behind we got to make a powerful console because we have to support VR and we want VR to hit a certain metric, you know, especially let's say I think these headsets support 1080p visual frames. What if PlayStation VR 2, you know, is more of a resolution bump in terms of what the screen is able to go, meaning you got 1440p screen or 2K gaming. What if that's Sony's vision? You know, you got 4K gaming on the console with your 4K TV, but when you put on VR headset, it's 2K 60, whatever the resolution for 2K is, right? 1440p 2K. You're gonna need a new headset because these headsets can't do those resolutions, you know, and you're gonna need powerful hardware to push that. So definitely great point on how Sony um, may look at VR as a motivating factor for more powerful hardware. Lionel Vic, thank you for the super chat. He puts, what do you think about the rumor of the next Xbox not being ready? You think MS is pushing it back until next year to make it sure it's more powerful? All right. I gotta be truthful on this channel because you know this channel is all about actual information. Do not let, as what the Xbox gamers use on Twitter, fear mongering. It happens all the time, right? What we're going through now for both PlayStation and consoles is just optimization, getting stuff ready. They still have plenty of time to lock down the hardware. Okay. Yes, do developers get frustrated on getting last minute notification on what the actual hardware is going to be? What are the actual specs? Because right now, what Microsoft and Sony sends out to developers is targeted specs. Build your games to these specs. So developers play it safe and build their games around to that spec. And then during the last minute, they get told these are the final specs of the consoles. These are the final dev kits. Now you can make a games based on these specs. That is the reason why some games don't look their best, or some games don't see a lot of incremental jumps, right? That's why games beyond the launch games, they look incredibly much better than what we got at launch. And it's simply because the launch games are most likely the signs of some of the most unoptimized games that you will get for a new generation of console, simply because the developers did not get the full specs or the finalized specs as they develop these games. That's why a lot of these games aren't, you know, fully optimized. They just didn't have the hardware to build their games to. So they played it safe, you know. Some games they're able to do last minute, you know, spruce up, textures, whatever. Most of the time, the games that do look the best at launch, if you notice, are usually the first party games. Because first party developers, they know exactly what they're getting, right? Obviously, you're not going to screw over your own internal first party developers. It's the third party developers that kind of get screwed over, right? And that happens. That's just how the game goes. I don't think Xbox is going to get delayed. It's just a process. Remember, Microsoft also had issues with dev kits and stuff previously. You know, they have plenty of time to finalize the dev kits. I think these guys already have what they need. I think it's all about clock measurement, heating, QC, Q&A, QC, you know, testing stability. They're tweaking right now. Right now, we're not at the stage where they have no idea what's going to be. Everybody's thinking, damn, I think they're going to have this CPU or that CPU. They already know which CPU they got. They already know which GPU. They probably already know how much RAM they're going to get. And now they're tweaking. They're giving those little detailed modifications to get the console that they want. All right. So I wouldn't worry or get into any talk about, MS pushing it back so they could be more powerful. You also have to understand each company has no idea what the other company is releasing. So Microsoft is not sitting there all day wondering what Sony's doing and be like, oh, we're going to make a console to beat Sony. We got to make sure it beats Sony. They're going to create the most powerful console based on the budget that they have. If they're willing to take a loss, they're going to decide how much that loss is, and they're going to let the chips fall where they may. PlayStation is going to do the same thing. They're both going to do what they got to do, and in the end, whoever's more powerful is more powerful. My opinion, if both consoles are $500, you're not going to see much difference between the two. There's not going to be much difference between the two consoles that are priced the same, because guess what? That means they have the same budget or similar budget on the hardware that they're going to purchase from AMD. And AMD is not going to shortchange one company over another. They're not going to go to Microsoft. Hey, Microsoft, we're going to give you the most powerful GPU for this amount of money. And then they're going to go to Sony. We're going to give you a weaker GPU for the same price as the more powerful GPU. They're not going to do that. They're both going to pay the same price. It's on Sony and Microsoft to fall within the budget of what they're willing to take a loss. And that's really what it comes down to it. So I wouldn't worry. Like I said, do it for fun. If you want to troll, talk shit, and all that stuff in the chat, cool. But don't put too much stock in being serious about the hardware. Let's see what we got. What else other questions we have? Actually, we're Sony kept the cell. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Lionel B. A lot of developers did not like it, and you got to make the developers happy. Even the PlayStation developers. You know who really didn't like the cell? There was an article about a year ago. Is the director and the lead developer of Gran Turismo for Polyphony Digital. Kaz something. I know you guys are into GT, so you know who he is. He had an article, right? He was in an interview. And when PlayStation 3 was developed, that was the last console where Sony would manufacture the console with no developer input. PlayStation 4 was actually the first PlayStation where the first-party developers and third-party developers were part of the manufacturing process. They were part of the design. They had input on what they wanted, right? Before that, Sony hardware manufacturing, designers, they would just design a console and then they would finalize it and then they would give it to their first-party developers and third-party developers and be like, hey, here you go. This is a PlayStation. So they did that with the PlayStation 3. So as they were building, so Kaz, I think that's his name, the lead developer, pretty much the director of Polyphony Digital, he was told this is everything the PlayStation 3 is going to do. So in his mind, okay, cool. I'm going to design Gran Turismo like this, this, and this, because this is what I'm being told. When he got the console, he said that shit didn't do anything that they promised. So he couldn't design the game he wanted to. Hilarious interview. So he hated the cell. He didn't really like the PlayStation 3 because what he was promised, he did not get at all. He was just not happy that he was promised something and he didn't get it. And I could say that's probably, some people could say that's damage control on how GT5 end up, but it makes sense. If you're promised something and then you decide, all right, good, I could make Gran Turismo do this. Then you get the hardware and you're like, this is nothing like what you promised. Pretty interesting. Let's see what we got. Any more? Let's see. Scroll through. I apologize with the chat. It's not flowing through. With every Xbox Scarlet game being made to work on Game Pass, Xbox One 2003, X One X, do devs need a Scarlet Dev Kit? Yeah, they're gonna need a Scarlet Dev Kit. I don't know how Microsoft is gonna work. Maybe that's all part of their UWP. But pretty much each device is just gonna scale in performance. So yeah, devs are gonna make games, Xbox games, I mean, it's just all one fluid kit. So I think Microsoft has it figured out on how to make it easy for developers to scale their games across Xbox devices. So I don't think it's going to be a big chore, but you're going to see amazing games. And yes, they're going to have Scarlet games because developers going to want games on Scarlet. I mean, I think Microsoft will find a way to ensure that the process is easy um, for what you call it, for development. Will PS5 games have better multiplayer modes? Hard question. I don't see Sony as a good multiplayer dev, but to be honest, um, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be their focus because it just seems like third party is just beating the crap. Even this gen, like Gears of War, right? Halo. Traditionally, Halo and Gears are traditionally known as some of the top most played multiplayer games in a generation. If you look back on the 360, and this gen, games like Overwatch. I mean, here's the thing with multiplayer: how can you compete, and make games with multiplayer when some of the most popular multiplayer are free, like Apex Legends, Warframe, Fortnite. Like you don't have to buy anything. You just download it. How do you compete with that? How do you get people? To me, the only company that truly, the only two games that truly, there's like two or three games that truly withstood the freemiums, we'll say, right? Is Destiny, Call of Duty, of course, Rainbow Six, and even Destiny went free to play, right? What else? What other multiplayer games? Overwatch, right? Those games are competing like top 10, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Destiny, Rainbow Six. Those are like top 10 multiplayer games among the freemiums. Everything else has been getting slaughtered, It's just crazy, So how do you compete with that, Does Sony create their own freemium game? Maybe, you know. Let's see what we got right here. Any more questions? This chat is, hey, Puertorock, are you looking forward to Iron Man VR? Oh, hell yeah. Praise the Lord. Say it again, brother. Woo! Woo! I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Um, is Last of Us isn't a good multiplayer game? Of course it's a good multiplayer game. But remember, the multiplayer game came out in 2013. Technically, if we're going to be honest, it's a PlayStation 3 multiplayer game that just got carried over PlayStation 4. How many PlayStation 4 specific games have been created for multiplayer? You got Uncharted 4, you got Killzone. It's not like it's been a big thing on PlayStation. Last of Us 2 multiplayer is a good multiplayer, but that's more credit to PS3. Because I gotta admit, Sony on PlayStation 3, they were multiplayer crazy. And oddly enough, that was all free. Now that they charge for online play, they do less work. The hell? Most of the launch games are going to be PS4 to upscale to PS5 specs. I could see that. I could see a lot of games being PS5 enhanced games, or cross-gen games between PS4 and PS5, because you have to build up the audience. You're not going to ignore 100 million gamers right off the bat. I don't think even Sony is going to do that. Let's see what else. I quit gaming 5 years ago. Don't really care too much what's going on now, but I like to see Sony on top of this. My best advice, I don't know if the Black Friday deal is still around or whatever, but you could get like a PlayStation for $200 and it has the new God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and The Last of Us. You play those 3 games, you'll figure it out. Just play those 3 games. Everything else will take care of itself. PlayStation 4, you don't have to get the Pro. Get the Slim. With those 3 games, they have those bundles, and I think it's $200. Just buy that bundle. and your questions will be answered. I'll come back to it one day. Don't wait. Just go get it now. It's only $200. I mean, unless you're focusing on your career, school, I get that. But if you could get $200, you don't even have to pay for PSN Plus. Don't even worry about that. Just get the PlayStation, connect, create a free account, download the patches, play Horizon Zero Dawn, play the new God of War, play The Last of Us. Once you play those 3 games, that's all you need to answer that question. And Fierce One, great question. How do you feel about Sony's using Microsoft Azure instead of making their own online system? All right. This is what annoys me about misinformation, because regardless what platform you like, if you have a channel and you want to talk honestly, you should talk and provide information, not from the perspective of trying to be pro Sony or pro Xbox or anti Sony, anti Microsoft Xbox. It's just provide truthful information, right? So, great question. What is Microsoft's Azure? Azure is just a cluster of cloud servers. That's all it is, right? They can be used for anything. For example, the United States government, the military, the Department of Defense got into a major contract with Microsoft to use Azure servers. And no, it's not because we're going to play xCloud games in combat. That's not what it's going to be used for. We're not doing xCloud in a war with China or whatever. That's not what it's for. Okay? It's to be used services and specific military applications to enhance our capabilities in the military. Has nothing to do with game streaming, because you could use these cloud servers for whatever you want. Amazon, right, is currently, I don't want to use the word suing, maybe suing is a proper term, is suing the U.S. government because they feel that the U.S. government didn't follow the laws of proper bidding. Like, in order to get services, it has to be properly bid. All this technical, not technical, but all these legal ramifications of getting into contracts, whatever. And Amazon is like, they're going to call bullshit because they think funny business was being done between this is all over the news. It's not like I'm telling you secrets or anything. You can look it up on Google, right? You can look up DoD contract with Microsoft cloud service, and you read it all yourself, right? So Amazon is put a hold, and they're fighting it in court, saying that there was shady dealings. And if they win, then the DoD government has to use Amazon cloud servers to support whatever infrastructure, okay? There's lots of cloud services out there. It's not just Microsoft. It's Microsoft, Amazon, Adobe has cloud clusters, IBM has cloud clusters. It's all these big data service centers, right? And these companies that have these data service centers, they sell a portion of it, or not sell, but rent a portion of it to other companies. And these companies use cloud servers to enhance their whatever they want. In this case, DoD is going to do for military. Macy's can do it for their store departments. Toys R Us, Best Buy, Walmart, Toyota, Chevrolet, steel mills, whatever company wants to do productivity and business stuff, they rent spaces, right? Renting these spaces is much cheaper than trying to build your own cluster servers, because now you have to build facilities. You have to, buy the actual hardware, and you have to pay the labor to maintain them and update them. It's very costly to maintain your own cloud servers centers. Very costly. So it's cheaper to just pay someone else. That is what Sony did. Sony does not have huge data centers of clouds all over the world. It's very costly, right? So instead of spending the money trying to build their own shit, they're just going to pay somebody else and rent their shit, okay? In this case, they rented Microsoft. Microsoft advertised that their renting stuff through them is 94% cheaper than their leading competitors, which is Amazon. So they're 94% cheaper, and they advertise 50% faster. So Sony went with the cheaper. Sony could have gone to anybody. They could have went to Adobe if they wanted to. Hey, Adobe, we want to rent cloud servers because we want to use our PSN now. They could have done that, right? But from Sony's perspective, it makes more sense to use Microsoft because, one, they're in gaming. So they invested interest in online streaming as well, right? Which is important, because whatever improvements Microsoft does to Azure and cloud streaming, whatever, Sony's going to benefit. It's cheaper than their leading competitor, and they have a lot more data centers. That's all it really is. Okay. Sony is using PS Now Gaikai service, but they paid Microsoft or renting from Microsoft cloud service because it's a lot cheaper than trying to build their own. That's all it is. Sony could have easily went with Amazon. In fact, PSN is on Amazon Web Services. So PSN network itself, the multiplayer and all that stuff, that's all running through Amazon. A lot of people don't know that. So PSN is Amazon. So when they be like, oh, Sony has shitty servers, they're on Amazon servers. That's where they're running their network through. That's who they're renting. The PSN Now cloud cluster, that's on Azure. So it's all businesses are using all these different, they're paying Adobe, they're paying IBM because it's cheaper, right? Sony is not in the business of providing cloud service. Microsoft is. Sony's not. It would be like, Microsoft trying to get into TVs. Microsoft's not into that. They don't make TVs. If they want TVs, they're just going to buy it. Same thing with lenses. They got in contract with Sony. Whatever Microsoft's trying to do, they're interested in Sony's AI and lens division. So anything that Microsoft needs lenses for, I don't know, maybe they're making medical equipment. Who knows what Microsoft's doing? But they're going to get their lenses from Sony. They're paying Sony money and buying lenses from them. It's a lot cheaper than building the factories and building your own lenses. It just doesn't make economic sense. And that's just all it is. I hope that clears things up. Xbox is about to announce that they're surrendering their games to Sony because Sony can keep the games alive. P-Rock, would there ever be a Scarlet exclusive game? No. Never. What else? Let's see what else. I think we're about to kick it because we've already been a little over an hour. So let me see one last good question. GTA 6 maybe a PSVR exclusive? No. That I tell you is not going to happen. Definitely will have PSVR, but it won't be exclusive. They're not going to limit the potential what the game could sell. GTA 6? No. They could make it to where in first-person view mode, it works with VR. They won't have any issues with that with GTA 6. GTA 6 will still be across every platform. But on PlayStation, they could say, hey, there's a VR mode enabled for VR users on PC and PlayStation. That's a potential. But they're not going to limit it to just to one platform. Or unless you're trying to say that if they do include a PSVR mode, a VR mode, it's only going to be available for PlayStation VR and not for Oculus or HTC Vive. Okay, I could see Sony doing that. If Rockstar's like, hey, we want to do a VR mode for our Grand Theft Auto game, and Sony could be like, we will give you money if you only do it for PS VR. I could see that. That I see is a possibility for that specific VR mode. Good comment. I don't say that's a question, but that's a great comment. Really good comments, man. This chat, you guys are lit with these questions. I could be here all night if I didn't have to work tomorrow. You expect any news tomorrow at the PlayStation Award show? No, I don't think you're going to see any big news. You'll probably see some more footage. I'll be honest. There's one news I would love to see that I think is doable on the PlayStation Award show, and that's Lost Solar Side. Like, really? Like, Sony, you're dangling that carrot a bit too much. Now you're really pissing me off. It's like, you're doing too much with this game. Can we, it's more than even The Last of Us. Like, goddamn, I've been following, Lost Solar Side for a long damn time. Like, really? Like, what are we doing? Can we get this game out there? Can we get a date? Like, golly, man. Like, hell, what are we doing? Sony can, however, build their own based off Azure tech. Isn't that what Microsoft said? Not build their own, but again, because Sony's renting Azure servers, they get to dictate the functionality. Microsoft's job is to make sure the servers are run. It's up to snuff, security. They're going to handle all that stuff. Sony's going to deal with the programming and stuff like that and yada, yada, yada to make PS Now work. Microsoft has to do their end and provide the most consistent servers possible to support Sony's vision, you know? And it's going to be a mutual work on that. But as far as creating their own, they're not going to create their own. Like I said, it's a costly venture, you know? That's why a lot of people that have, the companies that do have, cloud service centers, they rent them because it's too expensive to use it all yourself. IBM has them. Again, Adobe has them. They rent them to every company because that's where the money is. It's too expensive to just use it for yourself. What else? The suit for AR military training Microsoft is building for the U.S. government might be it. I don't know about that one. What about UFO? What you know? What about unidentified flying objects? Tell us what you know. I know there are objects that fly and have been unidentified. Next question. People are gonna look at me, oh, you an asshole. uh, oh, um, Umar made a point. Sony did something with RE7 where the VR mode for that game is a PSVR exclusive. Great point. What else announcement you expect to hear tomorrow? Most likely indies. Maybe one big game. Maybe more footage of The Last of Us. Maybe more footage of Ghost of Tsushima. That could be potential. They show a trailer, an updated trailer of Ghost of Tsushima. Maybe a Ghost of Tsushima release date. That could be doable. Nothing PS5 related. So you're not gonna see anything PS5 related. Do you think we're gonna see a new Uncharted game? That is interesting. Because Uncharted 4 was a huge success, but I firmly believe unless you do something refreshing, you could go through franchise fatigue. You have to do something refreshing. I have no idea what that is. Super chat. My man, you got cold yogurt. Thank you for the super chat. Firewall 0 Hour VR with the aim gun is a must. I will get that next. After I get through these games, a lot of people are telling me Firewall 0 Hour is amazing first person shooter with the aim gun. Absolutely executed well. I'm telling you, man, PSVR is the truth. Y'all killing me. Trust me on this one. I will not steer you wrong, man. Just open up to experience and get to it. Now, if you really don't like the graphics, all right, then wait till PlayStation 5. If the graphics really bother you. I got that. A lot of people, they just can't deal with bad graphics. Then if you're that type of gamer where bad graphics really ruin the experience for you, all right, wait till PlayStation 5. And when you see the graphics improve, jump on it. Let's see what we got. And finally, let's see. Questions for the chat for you, Puertorock. Do you guys recommend Firewall 0 Hour for PSVR? I've been looking into it more lately. I haven't played it, but like somebody said, and I talked to Jay Bari, he told me it's fine. I trust his judgment. He's a gamer. He enjoys good games. But I have yet to meet one person who played that game, who actually played the game, played it. I was going to see people that says the game sucks, and I'd be like, you played it? Yeah, I played it. Let me see your PSN. They'd be like, oh, I use a different PSN. I got like 19 PSN account. I'm like, oh, get out of here. The people that I verified that played it, every single one of them loved it. So if you're open to VR, that's different. Will a $500 console price hurt the industry? Probably not. As long as it delivers, if people see that, holy cow, this is a discernible difference between what we got, I think we'll be all right. The sales might be a little slower, but I think overall it'll be all right. And especially if these consoles are built to last the entire generation, and we don't have to worry about, mid-gen refresh. What we got? IBM Cloud is lit. This chat's off the hook. And then finally, we're gonna kick this off. What about Blue Point Game announced a 25-year remaster collection with all the best PS exclusives 25 years back? Like you're talking about like a whole collection of games? It depends. One, who is your first party, stuff like that. I know a lot of people are asking for, well, I ain't gonna say a lot. I would say a lot of, well, the niche hardcore are asking for Legend of Dragoon. And some people are talking about Dark Souls, not Dark Souls, but Demon Souls remastered. Um, I'll be honest. PS3 remasters, I'm not really interested in because the games all run pretty good. Could they run better? Sure. But I'm more interested like in a complete remake of a game that completely, like a PlayStation, like, Resident Evil 2. That was a complete remake from PlayStation 1, and it's a world of difference. I don't think there's going to be a world of difference of a PlayStation 3 remake because it's not like, when you look at the 360 PS3, they were pretty modern. Sure, graphically, they're not up to par now, but in terms of gameplay and style, they're pretty modern. And I think, if we're going to remake games, at least go back, like a Metal Gear Solid remake or a Legacy of Kain remake. Those games, where you get a completely different perspective, like Final Fantasy VII remake or a huge, completely different game, built from the ground up. That's worlds apart from the original. I would prefer that. My man said J Bar is a homie, but he likes a lot of trash games. Yo, what's going on, Queen Gaming? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I think Brazil and you're speaking Spanish. Brazil and you're speaking Spanish. All right, we're gonna keep it up. I think we're gonna cut it out right here. It's an hour 20 minutes. I appreciate with super chat. So we're gonna kick it off and we're gonna end the podcast here or the live stream here. Truly appreciate you guys rocking out with me. This is your boy Puertorock77. Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe and stay tuned for more content in this channel. Let's continue the conversation in the comment section. Of course, hit me up on Twitter, Puertorock77 with an underscore. Puertorock77 underscore. This is your boy, Puertorock77. Your only friend is YouTube streets, just providing the truth and knowledge and the facts. You guys have a great day. I'm out. Peace. And do you want to exit? Yes, I want to exit.